好同志们，好同志们，我们都在轰轰烈烈的站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 257th edition of China Now with your gang of two, Nan Su, who is a senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and Michael Olson, who was dissuaded from being a China hand by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Well, each week, Nansu and I look across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port here in Santa Cruz, voice.com, and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nansu.
Pretty good. And how are you, Michael?
I am just fine, thank you very much. Looking forward to, we're in October. And of course, that means the fourth plenum is coming up. And the fur may be flying in Beijing. What do you think?
Yeah, they just make an announcement. They already said it's going to be October 20, around October 22, 22nd, and 23rd.
So we have 3 weeks until big week in Beijing. Nansu, for those who don't know, what exactly are we looking at when we say the fourth plenum is coming? That would assume that, of course, there's other plenums. And this is the fourth one. Is this the last plenum, or are the other plenums coming in the future here?
Well, this is the one that they already say they're going to talk about the next 5-year economic plan. You know, China is the communist regime. You know, that started from. They learned this thing, you know, the 5-year plan, economic growth plan every 5 years. So they learned that from Soviet Union. You know, Soviet Union used to, you know, they'll make a 5-year economic plan and they set up the goal. That's how it works. So this one is going to talk about the next 5-year plan from 2026 to 2030. It's very interesting because it was just the end of September 27. Xi Jinping made a speech to the monthly political bureau. Political bureau is the highest level organization of Chinese Communist Party, and he spoke to the political bureau, and his speech it's about to make all the religion Chinaized.
Oh, so they're going to Chinaize all of the religions: Christianity, Buddhism,
right.
Taoism, Islam, the works. So they're going to Chinaize all of the religions.
That's correct. They're going to Chinaize all the religions, and they basically, and he said that they want all the religions to somehow blend it, you know, with the core values of Chinese socialism.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's the core of Chinese socialism?
Is the Chinese Communist Party.
It's the core value of the center, the very center of the Chinese socialism. It's everything under the leadership of CCP.
Mm-hmm. So the God that all religions are henceforth ordered to worship will be the chairman of the CCP, which is no other than Xi Jinping himself.
Well, that's it. It's basically saying, you know, all religions are religion on the CCP. You know, it's like it's other way around. You know, we have one nation under God. You know, and they are the Xi Jinping,
And they have, I guess that would mean that China has one nation over God.
and it's a nation over God, but it's a nation under Xi Jinping.
There it is. So when folks go to church or the mosque or wherever, tabernacle, they go in and kneel down before a portrait of Xi Jinping or whoever the chairman of the CCP happens to be at that time. That's the way of it. And I guess that is the true nature of communism, because in communism there is no religion. There are atheists, are they not?
They are atheists. That's it.
Okay. So if you're an atheist, you don't recognize God or anybody, your God or anybody else's God. So that's it. So if you want to go to church, you go to our church. And if you want to pray, you pray to us. And there it is. Now, their big problem is that they can't seem to get everybody to go along with that. And I think the biggest example are those who practice Falun Gong or Falun Dafa. And that, I don't know if you would call it a religion or what, but that the movement spread so rapidly throughout China that the CCP decided they have to do something with it, and they've been persecuting Falun Gong and all the other religions ever since that explosive movement in people wanting something else other than what the CCP has to offer. That a fair assessment?
It's true. It's true. I'm not sure if Falun Gong it's more like less like a philosophy. It has similarities to both Buddhism and Taoism, and it holds three core values: that truth, compassion, and tolerance. But it does believe life after death. So that's basically what it is. And so it's like you're going to go somewhere after this life. So basically, if you behave, then you're going to somewhere better. Um, yeah, that's why, and the only reason they have been persecuted is just because too many people practicing it. They have, like, the communist regime started persecution in 1999. At the time, the regime itself estimate there was like about 100 million people practicing uh, that philosophy, and the meditation too. They have a 5 set of meditation exercise. So and the same way they persecute the Falun Gong, they also persecute the underground church of a Christian church. Because the Catholic Church in China, it's already being operated by the regime already. They don't listen to Vatican, but they don't listen to Vatican, but they listen to the communist regime. So they're not really need to do anything anymore to them, and so the only ones they are going after, it's the Christian church, and then of course the Uyghurs, Tibetans. We have all these kind of stories every day, and of course Buddhist church, Taoist church, and even Confucius church. so it's just not allowed. Basically, you have to, uh, the only way you can operate the church, legally, if the only way you can operate a church legally and normally it's, you put your church on the nation and you put Xi Jinping above the nation.
And there it is. And that's the nature of communism. You either worship us or you're out. You have to go someplace else.
That's it.
Or donate your body parts, as it were, and as it seems to have been for quite some time now. So this is something that Xi Jinping put in front of the Politburo before the fourth plenum. So it's quite a statement, is it not? It's
it
in essence he's acknowledging everything that they have been doing and will continue to do. This is what we're going to do. We're taking over religion, and there it is. Like it or not, that's what we're going to do. And there's anybody in the Politburo stood up and did anybody in the Politburo stand up and say, well, wait a minute, they can't do that?
They all agree with him.
Okay.
It and it doesn't matter. They all be actually not just agree with them. They all have the same mentality with them. This is how communism is. If you don't believe this kind of thing, then uh, anybody who don't believe this won't be even able to get to a member of Politburo. So that's what it is.
And we often talk about how difficult it would be, for example, to decide that, well, we don't like this Xi Jinping guy and we get rid of him. But then what happens if we do get rid of him, Don Su? They all have the same objective, which is to protect the Communist Party because that's their bread and butter.
That's right. It really doesn't matter if it's Xi Jinping at their position at the top position of the CCP, or if it's someone else at that position. They're all going to be, it's so basically well, the only difference is you're going to be either under the system with Xi Jinping on the top, and then below him is the nation of China, and then below the nation of China you have the religion. Or if it's not Xi Jinping, then you will change it to somebody else above China as a nation, and then below the nation you have every religion. So
So the God of China will always be the center or the focal point of the Chinese Communist Party.
That's right.
So it's always going to be it's always a dictator, and that's what it is when it gets right down to it. A dictator. So we often, or at least I have often made the observation that it seems to me that China is not a country, it is a prison operated by the Chinese Communist Party. Has a warden, has guards, has a means of controlling everybody.
Yeah, it's true. And all the Chinese people, as we mentioned before, that they are tribes.
Chives. Now, when I mentioned that to my wife, she said, "What do you mean by chives? Why would Chinese people call themselves chives?" Nansu?
Because chive is it's the vegetable they only need to be planted once, right? They keep growing like a grass. And then when you grow mature enough, you just cut them, and then you harvest them and you leave the roots, right? And then they grow again, so they keep growing, they just keep growing like a grass. And then you keep harvest them, you keep harvest them, the Communist Party keep harvesting them all the time, so they have endless the people is just like a tribe. They become they feed the need of Chinese Communist regime wherever they need.
And so they serve the party. The prisoners of China, or the residents, or the citizens of China, who are not part of the Chinese Communist Party, are chives to be harvested and left to grow out from their roots. So they propagate and they come back and they're harvested again. And when you see the revolts going on in and on the streets of China right now, made necessary by the fact that the economy is collapsing, it really doesn't matter to the CCP because they're just going to be harvesting those chives. Is that right?
Yep.
Not a very bright future for the people of China unless you happen to be a member of the Chinese Communist Party. It's very interesting that the Chinese Communist Party was founded on the principle of giving everything to the peasants, taking it away.
That was well, peasants are the tribes too, right? The typical tribe.
They're the tribes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. They just believe the lies from the CCP. In the in 1920s when the CCP was funded by the money from the former Soviet Union as their Far East branch of Soviet Union. Then they start giving all the lies to the peasants, and they say if you believe the communism, you fight for the communism, then you're going to we're going to lead you to have your own land, because the center central part of the of a farmer's life is a peaceful land, right?
Yes.
Everyone want a peaceful land,
like
it's
in
the agricultural industry, right?
like in Pearl Buck's The Good Earth, the land was everything.
Yeah, the land is everything. So they follow the CCP. They kill the landlord, and or whoever has the land, they kill them, and then they distribute. They take the land from those rich landlords, and then they will distribute it to everybody. And of course, once they do that, those people, they will escape, and then they're going to go to the Kuomintang, the KMT was the ruling party, all right.
Correct.
So then the KMT central government will, of course, they will send their military coming to crack down that kind of riot behavior. So now then the CCP said, okay, if you want to keep the land that was given to you, you better send your children to the CCP military, right? So that's how and then they will, that's how CCP, have their military grow bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger. And finally, in 1949, they took over control of China. And then once they took over control of China, they will say, oh, every one of you, if you only live by yourself, then it's, the productivity is going to be very low because all of you cannot be, the whole agriculture sector will not be industrialized.
Right.
So if you all united together and make a big organization, then maybe you all can, the whole sector can be industrialized, and everyone will enjoy a lot more productivity.
And
So that's
so they went in and they took away all the land that they had given to the
That's right.
peasants.
Yeah, they took all the land back, and then well, so well, it's like Soviet Union. The land it's not a property of each presence anymore. The land becomes a common property.
Collective belongs to the collective, right?
Yeah, collectively. And but however, those land cannot be sold. Okay, those land cannot be sold, cannot be commercialized. If once it become, because eventually the land itself, once there was a law says, if the land uh, if when the land is only used for agricultural purpose, it's a collective property. But once the land become commercialized, it can only be the property of the Chinese Communist Party, the government.
Sure.
It's the government property. So they make that law. So now that's how, in the past quarter century, the Chinese government has been able to support its tremendous waste of unbelievable, huge budget, and that we often heard the Congress or the American people complain about the big budget of American government. Now, if you think that's big, go to China. That's
There you go.
that's
So,
like 100 times worse. Uh,
so
a
what?
100 times more than American government's budget, a lot more basically. That's what happened, and now and then the way they support their budget is they basically uh sell. They will take the land from the farmers and then sell them, make the land become industrialized, and then and that's it.
So what we're seeing over the course of the 50 years or so, 75 years now of the Chinese Communist Party is that they came in and they promised to take it away, take everything away from those who had built it up to that time. The rich landowners, the industrialists, those who own businesses in town and cities, they lost everything, and everything was given to the peasants. And when it was discovered that, well, that's not really going to be very efficient for every peasant to be on his little piece of land, and especially because a lot of them don't know what they're doing, so they changed that and they took it all away and put it into communes, which eventually led to Mao's great leap forward and the starving to death of, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 million people. And so here we are today with the Chinese Communist Party owning everything, and the chives, or the common people, or the peasants, or the people on the streets of China owning nothing.
Well, uh, nominally, you still can own something. You can buy a flat, your apartment, except you don't own the property itself. You only when they sell, it's they what they say is when they sell the apartment to you, you actually what you're buying, you're buying 70 years
A
of
lease.
right to
Yeah.
use it.
It's
And
kind of like a
then of
license,
course
right?
it's a license,
Yeah.
yes. And now of course they can extend it if when the time comes, to the 70 years deadline, but it haven't happened yet, because when they started economic reform in 1978, it's not quite. been 70 years yet. Nobody knows what's going to happen when the 70 years deadline comes. Maybe they will extend, give you another 10 years or 20 years. It doesn't matter, but you are not a property owner. You just have a license for using that apartment for 70 years.
You're just a chive, in other words. to the for the Chinese Communist Party to harvest.
That's right.
And that's how the Chinese people see themselves now, as chives. So we're going into the October. We're going to be conducting as the CCP's fourth plenum. They're going to be making plans and telling us, the world and the people of China, what they're up to for the next 5 years, a 5-year plan. And that's the way the Chinese do it. They make 5-year plans. It's interesting to note that China always meets the CCP's annual goal for growth. And it's very interesting the way they do it. But they do it 5% a year. And so growing 5% a year over the last 30 years, China has grown into an immense country. And as a matter of fact, it is a country that now has as its goal the common destiny of all of the people of the world. And that goal is what, Nansu?
Well, the common destiny, of course, they don't call it communism anymore because communism, the word, the verbiage, it's so bad, so they kind of shine away, and that's why they replace the word communism by the common destiny of mankind. But it's the same thing basically. We're going to be one day the entire world will be living under the Communist Party, and now when the communist stage came. When the communist stage come to the world, they're based on the original idea from Karl Marx. That would be a world without any government, no country, no government, because Karl Marx believed government is the apparatus used by one social class to rule every other social classes. And by the time of communism, it's realized in the world there will be no government, therefore no country, and we don't know how that world will be because it seems like in China is a communist country, although it calls itself socialist country, but it's ruled by the Communist Party, and then the Communist Party is under one person, so it's not exactly everybody is equal. You have one person who is above all religion, and his word is the word from the God.
He is the God.
So I don't know how you call that system equal.
So it seems to me that the common destiny being preached by Chairman Xi Jinping of the Chinese Communist Party is that the common destiny of all of the peoples of the world will be that of chives to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, that's just the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Nansu?
Well, I think you are exactly right.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is China Now with Nansu and Michael Olson and you. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to start picking up some news of the week. Very interesting one. We'll start with a story about the Chinese Communist Party's invasion of Mexico. Whoa. So please do stay tuned. We will be right back after these very short messages. And don't want to miss a thing. Right back.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants, and at Treehouse Dispensary, we use it to build community. In addition to dispensing cannabis and education, Treehouse hosts First Friday events every month that feature our community's local artists, makers, and activists. If you're 21 plus, join us at 3651 Soquel Drive every First Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. to enjoy the work of local artists and musicians, find one-of-a-kind gifts, and learn more about the top cannabis products in California. See you soon.
The weather will change. Knox Roofing here. We all remember the story of the three little pigs. We all know the third pig hired Knox Roofing to do his roof. Every day he crawls into his home knowing no wind, no earthquake, fire, or even the big bad wolf can hurt his house. The weather will change for the good and sometimes not so good. Have a Knox roof installed on your home, and one thing you can be certain of, good security. I promise you that. The number to call is 461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Satisfy your hunger with a fresh, prepared, twice-daily grab-and-go sushi you'll find waiting for you at Sushi Market Sprouts, 2 blocks from the beach at 300 7th Avenue in Santa Cruz. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
Hello, I'm Junko, and I look forward to serving you at the Sushi Market Sprouts.
Satisfy your hunger right now with the delicious ramen and sushi you'll find waiting for you at Kaito. Easy in and out location in the Capitola Mall food court. Special orders welcome. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
This is Koji. I'm looking forward to seeing you at my restaurant, Kaito.
You have to move now. No problem. Store your stuff at Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul. Easy off Highway 1 on Airport Boulevard by the airport. 24/7 security. Drive it to your door and store it at Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom.
You sold your motorcycle to a friend in Fresno and need to deliver it. Well, Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom has motorcycling car trailers ready to go. Easy off Highway 1 on Airport Boulevard by the airport. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom.
Welcome back. This is China Now, 中国现在 with Nansu and Michael Olson and you. Today we're talking about China and looking forward to China's great fourth plenum coming in about 3 weeks in Beijing there. They're going to lay all their plans on the table, or at least those they want us to know about and the world to know about. So what we do often is we pick up the news of the week and try to figure out exactly what it means. Because watching China is a little bit like watching a football game from the nosebleed seats while the ground is covered in a tule fog. You can see things moving about, but you really never know what's going on. So that means it's possible to speculate, and that's what we do on China Now. Nansu, have you heard of the invasion of Mexico by China? Have you heard this one? Are you there? Well, maybe Nansu's not there. Hello, Nansu. Well, let's see. Did I somehow mute him? Who knows? Well, we'll wait for him to show up.
Hello.
You're there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, when you use the word invasion, did you mean the economic invasion?
I mean a people invasion. There
are a lot of people migrate to Mexico.
And you know, this follows a pattern, Nansu, of almost all of its Belt and Road countries. So what China does is it goes into a developing nation like Mexico or Ghana or wherever, Nigeria, and they invest a lot of money in building stuff. And then the countries sign up for this Belt and Road. Oh boy, we get a dam or we get an airport or whatever. And of course, the people building the projects are Chinese people. They don't hire local people, except a few probably necessarily, but they bring in their own people. And so what happens is those people bring in other people, and pretty soon you have a Chinese merchant class setting up shop in town and supplanting the local people with the CCP's mercantilism, which is you sell stuff cheaper than anybody else, you run them out of business, and you take over. So that's what's going on in Mexico as well as many other places in the world.
Okay, there are two things happening simultaneously as this process go along. Now, first of all the there are employees of the Chinese state-owned company who come to Mexico or whichever country it's around the world. So those are the small tribes. When we say tribes of China, right? Those are the small tribes that get to pay for their work or their labor working for the government basically now, and then so the state-owned business bring their own money, their own material, their own employees who will come to these developing countries to do whatever. They will build the public facility, roads, bridges, or whatever. That's one thing. Now the interesting thing is once all these companies come, there will be small business owners from China. They will come and they will serve them, because they will they will open the grocery stores. They will open the, whatever, the things that because those small business owners who will buy things from China and sell to basically serve this state-owned business from China, and then while at the same time they'll also sell whatever the things to the local society, like in the town and one of the towns of Mexico, right? Mm-hmm. So and then because the things they brought it's so cheap, it would assume they will they will wipe out all the mom and pops local stores, and then it's like what happened. In Nigeria, and
Panama. In Panama.
Yeah. In many other countries anyway. So that's what happened, and then they will control the local economy, and they become the upper and middle classes of the country. And of course, in Mexico, except all these immigrants from China, they also come with all these fentanyls too, right? So you have a fentanyls that's from China being provided to the local drug cartels, and well, it's interesting to see all these things happening.
Well, Nansu, you made mention of a real key to understanding what's really going on here is the fact that all of this enterprise that China is exporting to these countries are based on state-owned enterprises.
Yeah, the centerpiece, it's the state-owned business. They are the one building all the facilities and infrastructures for whichever the countries that sign up to the Belt and Roads project.
Right.
And then it will bring a bunch of much smaller, maybe private, maybe half private ownership, half government ownership, that kind of a business which all those other businesses are centered around the Chinese state-owned construction business.
And as a state-owned enterprise, it means it's almost like a military expedition.
It's true.
So it's really an invasion by the Chinese Communist Party and its business wing, which is different than its military wing, but it has the same objective.
Yeah, it's a zero-sum game.
Exactly. Okay. So let's look at Mexico. In just 4 years, the granting of residencies to Chinese citizens in Mexico skyrocketed 245% from 2,600 in 2020 to 9,200 in 2024. The epidemic of this wave of immigration is the historic center of Mexico City, where over 3,500 Chinese businesses, accounting for 20% of all commerce, are displacing Mexican producers and vendors through dumping practices, which is selling below production cost and flooding the market with cheap made in China goods, where Mexican merchants denounce displacement over supply and commercial dumping that directly threatens national production. So it is, as we suggested, the deliberate displacement of the Chinese economy of this historic district in Mexico City, a national heritage site, as a matter of fact. So in just 4 years, they've taken over 20% of the commerce of this historic district in Mexico City, just like that. So, but that's not all, of course, because as Nan Su said, there's a lot of other nefarious goings on. Between 2023 and 2024, detentions of Chinese nationals in irregular status, which is to say illegal immigrants, reached 30,000 cases, a dramatic leap from the 1,300 recorded in 2019 to 2022. So a huge influx of undocumented workers flowing into Mexico City. And of course, Mexico City is now absorbing 75% of Chinese investments, which is equivalent to about $1.01 billion in 2024. And that investment by China is coinciding with the immigration boom. So Mexico City is taking the money from the CCP, $1 billion, and flooding its capital city of Mexico City with these immigrants. And of course, the primary means for displacement of Mexican commerce is dumping. China exports products like footwear, clothing, and electronics to Mexico at prices 5 to 14% lower than local goods, thanks to state subsidies and customs undervaluation. In 2024, Chinese footwear imports surged by 60%, eroding 10% of national production and causing 22,000 job losses in the sector. And in platforms like Temu and Shine exacerbate the issue, selling Christmas series for 50 pesos, and while Artisan charges 500 for the authentic piece. The Council for Small Business Development estimates that 20% of the historic center's 20,000 businesses are now Chinese-owned. And so, of course, this takeover extends beyond commerce. Heavy trucks arrive at dawn, damaging pedestrian streets and urban infrastructure in this historic district in downtown Mexico City. Sidewalks become loading zones, and Chinese street vendors even compete with Mexico's informal street vendors. So it appears as though Mexico went along with this Belt and Road, took the money from China, and opened its doors to China, and now is in the same fix that all of the other Belt and Road countries are in too, which is they're being swamped, literally, by Chinese commerce that they can't compete with. What happens next, Nansu?
Well, they all the government of the country that sign up to the Belt and Road project will will owe big debt to Chinese government. So then they will have to listen to the Chinese government.
Yes, they owned by the Chinese government, so it is in effect an invasion.
That's the first step. That's the very first step towards to the common destiny of Xi Jinping.
There it is. So Mexicans, citizens in Mexico City especially, are now becoming chives to the Chinese Communist Party.
You know the best part of it, how this whole process is started.
How's that?
It's the whole how China was not even industrialized. Even 25 years ago. And we deindustrialized the United States. We sent everything to China and industrialized the communist China. And then they take it from there. They're now to spread around all around the world, and it's the biggest threat because it becomes the biggest threat because we have such a passion of panda love, right?
A panda love. It was Zhou Enlai's idea. Mao, Zhou Enlai said, let's send them pandas, and that'll snow them under so deep they'll never get out. And so they sent us pandas, and we fell in love with pandas, and we fell in love with the idea that we, being superior intellect, can give China all of our money and all of our industry and make them good like us. We did it. We did it. We gave away our industry, and now we're faced with the prospect of the consequences of our good intentions. And the consequences is that we're turning people throughout the world into chives of the Chinese Communist Party. Is that what we're talking about? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I don't know. We need to stop all that craziness. That's what it is.
Well, there are signs that we're waking up to what we've done, but maybe I don't know if it's in waking up in time or not. How can you stop the invasion of Mexico City or Mexico? The secret sauce in all of this, of course, is money. All China has to do is go into a country and meet with a head cheese, hand them a suitcase full of money, or maybe a plane load, who knows, and then start the invasion of the country. And the country being invaded has to pay for it with money they don't have. And so they then become beholden to the CCP. So it's an awfully clever way of enforcing the common destiny of the Chinese Communist Party on the chives of the world.
Yep. That's keep in mind that's what we can see now. It's not, it has not become, we still have the chance to stop this process and to save to prevent at least, let's say, just prevent the people all around the world become the prisoners of CCP.
So what do we do? Where do we start?
Well, I think we already start doing that because we are putting tariffs on Mexico, and also on top of the tariffs, there's a Trump says if anything from it's actually transnational because it was not made in the Mexico, but it was made somewhere else, and go through Mexico and then come to United States, that will add another 40% tariffs. So that will stop the things from China, I think.
So, in other
Uh,
words, Trump tells Mexico, okay, we'll work with you on a pretty even basis here, but if you import stuff from China and sell it to us, we're going to add 40%.
yep.
Okay, and we're doing that with pretty much everybody. So what we're doing is standing up to that mercantilism that China uses to take over the world.
Yep.
Of course,
It has to, it has to. This is something can be done, right? And we're responsible to do that because we we help China to become industrialized, and now we are the only one is able. We are only one, of course, together with all these social all other countries in the Europe, right? And then if we are together, we can stop this common destiny stuff.
but
Well,
but it's interesting, Nansu, that we have to recognize our responsibility in what has happened here.
that's right.
And it's you're right. We're as the United States of America are the only ones capable now of standing up to China.
Yes, so we have to take the lead. The United States, and Americans have to take the lead. Or we can count on the people like Macron or Stammer or whatever
No, they're there, right?
they're not going to do anything if you're waiting for them to do anything. No, they will never happen. So the United States have to take the lead. Americans need to take the lead. It's our freedom. It's the freedom of our children and grandchildren, basically.
And it's our responsibility
That's right.
to the greatest extent for what we have done with our money to threaten the freedom of our world. It's just amazing how those good intentions sometimes come back and really smack you on the jaw. And our good intentions of making China like us just did not work out very well at all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is China Now with your host, Nansu, your gang of two hosts, Nansu, who is the senior investigative reporter for the Epoch Times newspaper, a great newspaper, by the way, not just for political information, but for information on good living. Great food stories, great lifestyle stories, well worth a pickup. And I look forward to mine every week. So we're going to take a quick break for the top of the hour news. And when we come back in 6 minutes, we will pick up a lot more stories. And the one that's in the queue is the great firewall leak of the CCP. So you don't want to miss that, right? So please do stay tuned. This is China Now.